ahead and call the meeting to order at the hour of 10:05, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And perfect timing. So we'll do a roll call, please.
Here. Here.
Here.
Present. There's nothing to report out of closed session, and as we move into the approval of the agenda, I would just ask at the close of the meeting that we conclude with a moment of silence for those killed and injured in the recent Boston Marathon bomb attack. Approval of minutes for the February 21st meeting?
Make a motion.
Second.
Go ahead and call the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then director's report.
Morning, Commissioners. This morning I'd like to provide you a general business update, introduce our strategic direction 3-year plan, an overview of that, also talk about the 10 major goals in that strategic directions document, and provide you an overview of today's agenda. As far as the general business update, it's been a very, very busy last few weeks. We're very gratified that we had a successful launch of Powerball. Things are going very, very well. The launch events in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento were very well received. And we've sold over $30 million worth of tickets in the last 17 days for Powerball. And we expect to sell more because last night it rolled to $140 million. So thus far, it's been a very good product for us. And I'd like to thank all of our staff and our management team who worked for the last 9 months to make that a reality. It's been a lot of hard work, but very gratifying for all of us. As far as the general business update, looking at the chart here, as you can see, the scratchers, the hotspot, and the daily games products are doing well. They're all above last year in terms of sales. We really have been surprised in terms of the overall draw game, though, performance in the last few weeks with the introduction of Powerball. Our combined sales of Powerball and Mega Millions reflected in the multi-state games category there. Even though we're down for the year, we're actually making up ground on last year when we had the record sale last March of Mega Millions. So the combined Powerball and Mega Millions is performing well. It's above our expectations thus far. And interestingly enough, Super Lotto Plus has held its own initially here, so we're happy with that. Overall, we're still in a position, we really believe right now, that we'll have total sales this year higher than last year's total sales. We expect our contribution to education to be a little bit less than last year, though, because of the mix of our product sales this year. However, a couple good rolls may cure that too. So our continuing hope as a strategy philosophy is intact. As far as our strategic direction plan, we started talking last fall about a strategic direction document for the next 3 years for the lottery. And we had some sessions last fall with a variety of our vendors. We also had a meeting of the commission itself with the senior management team. And so our team has been working on where the lottery is going to be going for the next 3 years. And this morning I'd like to just give you a brief overview of that document, and then what we'll be doing is give you an actual draft document here in early May. Some of the overarching ideas we have in the document. First of all, we want to become one of the largest and most profitable lotteries in the nation. I think it's very important. We have good growth, but it's got to be profitable growth for public education in California. Doing that, we have to maintain the highest integrity of our games and our business practices so people have confidence and trust in what we're doing. We want to grow sales in a responsible manner. As we continue to have growth in our sales, we have to make sure we have good corporate social responsibility around how we sell those games. But the big part of this is we're all focused on trying within 3 years to hit the $6 billion mark in terms of sales. I think it's aggressive, challenging, but I think all of us are up to taking that on as a task. There's 4 key themes in our approach for the next 3 years. First part of that is products. We have to increase the sales in all our products, including our scratchers, our draw games, and other products. Players, we all know that we have to build on our playership, including our core players, addressing our infrequent or lapsed players, and also trying to attract new players. Third theme is retailers. We have to grow our retailer network. We want to focus our service on our most productive retailers and also those with the highest growth potential. And then the fourth major theme is infrastructure. We have to continue to increase the capacity of the lottery to handle our business, including higher sales, more retailers, and more players, and to do this through improving our business processes, our training of our people, and the use of technology. So with those 4 major themes in place, we have 10 major goals. I'm just going to briefly walk through these goals for you. Under the products theme, obviously we have to continue our Scratchers enhancements. We're planning on launching a $20 Scratchers game this fall. We also are going to continue to work to grow our $5 and $10 games. And as of next year, 2014, after the first of the year sometime, we'll be actually implementing a rewards program for our players to reward them for being loyal lottery players. Second, we need to optimize the draw game product mix. We're going to watch very closely the impact of Powerball on the Mega Millions sales as well as the Super Lotto Plus sales. We expect cannibalization. Other states have had it for the multi-state game Mega Millions and for the in-state game. So we're going to watch that. We have plans right now. We're working with the Mega Millions consortium, other states involved in Mega Millions, to do some things to change and revitalize the Mega Millions game. And we also have our own internal team working on our Super Lotto Plus game here in California to do things to revitalize and reinvigorate our Super Lotto Plus game. And we're continuing to look to identify opportunities to identify, develop, and test new games. Second major theme is the players theme. We have to grow playership, as I said earlier. We all know that our playership in California has kind of stagnated in terms of the number of Californians playing the lottery. So we are developing strategies around the different player segments. First of all, our core players, we have to retain them. We have to reach out to our infrequent and lapsed players and try to get them back involved. And then we have to develop strategies to attract new players who have never played our games or who haven't participated in the lottery. Part of this is also improving our player database and information on players so we can use that improved data in our marketing and sales efforts. Fourth major goal is improving the lottery's overall image with consumers and stakeholders. We want to continue to focus on our transparency and accountability of our activities so people respect the integrity of our game. We also are focusing on winner awareness. We've already stepped up that in the last 6 months or so, and are going to continue to step that up in the near future. And finally, we're trying a variety of events and sponsorships and experiential marketing activities as a way to get out more in the public eye at a variety of events throughout the state and focus less on mass advertising and more on taking the game so much kind of directly to the people. A fifth major goal is expand our corporate social responsibility program. As we grow, we have to expand our problem gambling awareness efforts. We are also expanding our training with our lottery staff and also with retailers regarding problem gambling. And we're going to seek the World Lottery Association Level 4 certification for corporate social responsibility and become the first state in the United States to have that distinction. Another goal is maximizing our return on investment of our advertising and promotions. You've heard from Richard Mahan before, our Director of Sales and Marketing, about our Every Ticket Has Value theme. We are also working hard to expand our online, digital, and social media strategies. We want to use these strategies to attract new players who haven't played our games and we think are Our efforts in this thus far are already paying off. We want to expand those. And then we want to provide efficient and effective marketing support for our new and our existing games. Another major theme is the theme of retailers. As I mentioned, we have to expand our retailer network. You've heard me before talk about the need to add 4,000 more retailers just to get up to the national average of penetration with retailers in California. We're basically expanding efforts in terms of our traditional retailers through our key accounts folks focusing on chains and various C-stores. Traditional people have been big supporters of the lottery. We're also doing a major effort to get hotspot retailers in that venue, such as small bars, taverns, bowling alleys, that type of thing, as well as looking at other major channels, potential channels for expanding playership. We also want to optimize our support provided to our lottery retailers. We have been working on developing the requirements for a new customer relationship management tool, a CRM tool, so we can get better data and use that data to provide better service to our retailers. We're continuing our efforts to improve our supply chain management and the efficiency and effectiveness of that. And we also are working to provide better service to our retailers overall by freeing up our workers to do more work that we call high-value work in terms of helping sales as opposed to just the routine things of dropping off and picking up tickets. And the fourth major theme is the theme of infrastructure. We've been talking about this quite a bit the last 15 months. We have to improve the infrastructure of the lottery. A lot of the business practices we have are old, they're mundane, and they're like historic in terms of what they do. So basically what we're trying to do in this area is really take a look at our internal operations. We're going to be putting in place a retailer risk management effort, looking at how we service a retailer from the time we try to recruit them to the time we get them, to the time we work with them as a lottery retailer, and if we need to get them out of the system, how we do that. That whole life cycle of a retailer is something we're focusing on because we need to get good retailers, keep the ones we've got, and then attract more retailers. And if there's a few ones we don't want, we have to take actions ahead of time to get them out before they're a risk to the lottery. We also have a variety of enabling technology projects to basically update various financial processes we have, as well as human resources processes, those types of things, just basic skill projects that we need in the lottery. And we're also seeking the World Lottery Association security certification and trying to become the only lottery in the country that has that security certification from the World Lottery Association. And finally, the 10th major goal is building a one lottery culture among our staff through additional training, collaboration, and project management. I think generally speaking, we're just trying to get everyone working together and singing from the same page of the hymnal. We're very happy with the lottery team we have, and we want to make it even more productive. So those are the key themes and the goals. Like I said, you'll be getting a document from us shortly, which elaborates on that. And Jim Hasagawa will be talking about year one of our business plan later in this meeting. Any questions regarding those at all?
Commissioners?
Okay. Just briefly, today's agenda, Paula Negrete is going to be providing a legislative update. It's mating season at the Capitol. We also have a summary of the headquarters building project closeout from Terry Murphy. And as I mentioned, Jim Hasagawa is going to talk about our business plan for next year, the overall framework of it, and then we have a few general business items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paula? Good morning.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
For today's legislative update, I'd like to focus on some changes within the legislature, bills that the lottery is tracking, including an update on the lottery out-of-state draw bill, SB 817, and a quick scan on U.S. lottery news. During my last legislative update, we discussed the new legislative session and the new faces in both the Assembly and the Senate. Since then, there has been a vacancy in the Assembly District 80, previously held by now Senator Ben Hueso, who moved to the Juan Vargas seat after he left for Congress. The Senate has two vacancies, including the Michael Rubio seat, Senate District 16, and the Negretti McLeod seat, Senate District 32, which is scheduled for a May runoff. If Assemblywoman Norma Torres wins in May, the Assembly Democrats will be temporarily short of the 54 seats for a supermajority. Moreover, they will lose Assemblyman Bob Blumenfield from Sherman Oaks in July when he leaves to join the Los Angeles City Council. Democratic leaders say the change will not make a difference in working across the aisle. The legislative session began with an immediate focus on higher education and its affordability, an extraordinary session to prepare for the implementation of the federal healthcare reform law, and an effort to attract more businesses to California and spur job creation. The new legislature has produced roughly 2,200 bills introduced this session, and many bills have entered the policy stage where the legislation is being analyzed by the Committee of Origin. We're watching legislation that directly references the California lottery, the lottery-sponsored legislation, and bills impacting the gambling community. I'm happy to report that the lottery's out-of-state draw bill, SB 817, which is a Senate Governmental Organizational Committee-sponsored bill, was heard in committee on April 23rd on the consent calendar. Passage was approved, and it has been re-referred to the Appropriations Committee. This bill is slated to be taken up in appropriations in early May. The bill would change the Lottery Act, providing flexibility in staffing out-of-state draws, allowing California staff to remotely witness the out-of-state draws. It puts California on par with other national lotteries' draw procedures, upholds strict inspection standards, and will save the lottery $140,000 a year. We don't anticipate a challenge in the passage in the Appropriations Committee, since the bill has a positive fiscal effect, providing a savings of $140,000 annually to the lottery. The final hurdle is a 2/3 vote of the full Senate before the bill moves to the Assembly for consideration. Other bills that directly reference the lottery include the Senate Bill 184 and Assembly Bill 1332. SB 184 is a bill introduced by the Senate Committee on Governance and Finance that proposes changes to state laws governing local governments' power and duties. Currently, Section 12419.8 of the California Government Code allows the controller to offset and deduct from a claim, including lottery winnings, if a person or entity owes money to a city or county. Senate Bill 184 expands these provisions to apply to amounts due to special districts, in addition to the amounts due to cities and counties. Assembly Bill 1332, introduced by Assemblyman Hagman, would change the Lottery Act to allow the assignment of the final 3 annuity prize payments from the lottery to the prize winner. The lottery is examining the impact of these bills and will continue to follow their progress. Other gaming-related bills that we'll continue to watch include Senate Bills 190, 51, and SB 670. We saw similar versions of these in the last legislative session. SB 51 would authorize interstate internet gambling by creating a 5-year license to operate internet gambling. It has been assigned to committee for a hearing, but has not been calendared. SB 190 is a bill that authorizes sports wagering. Both bills have been introduced by Senator Rod Wright. The bill has recently been heard in the committee on April 23rd and is passed and was re-referred to the Appropriations Committee. SU 670, introduced by Senator Lou Correa, would authorize internet poker websites in California. The bill would require the California Gambling Control Commission to establish a regulatory framework for the licensing of businesses. The bill has not yet been calendared by the Senate Committee on GO. Since our last meeting, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie had vetoed the bill to legalize gambling over the internet. Since then, he signed an amended version of the bill, and which allows any game played in the city's 12 casinos to be played on the internet, exclusively in New Jersey first, and then and other places are willing to partner with the state. That licenses will be limited to Atlantic City casinos and require that companies keep most of the equipment to run the operations on site. The state of Delaware is moving forward with its plans to launch online gambling by September 30th of this year. So far, they have received 14 proposals from companies seeking to provide online gambling systems. Since my last report, Governor of Wyoming had signed a bill that allows the state to, the creation of a lottery. The law has also created some excitement in the neighboring state of Utah, which is willing to take that 2-hour drive to play lottery and buy tickets. And at a federal level, so far, Senator Reid has not introduced federal legislation authorizing internet gambling. Questions?
So with, in the last 30 years, I think the average number of bills signed into law was 1,200. So that's 36,000 new laws in the last 30 years. So we've become pretty sophisticated as a people. So I just wonder whether the unintended consequences of that complexity are. But thanks for the report. That's great.
Hey, Paula?
Headquarters building.
Morning, Commissioners, Chairman.
Morning.
Want to give a brief overview of the headquarters building project that is now completed and closed out. I want to touch bases on a few things. First, talk about the project vision, which is basically the charge I was given when I got here. Second is integrated project delivery. That was the type of delivery we used for the project. Certainly important was the team that was involved on the project. And finally, what you might be interested in is the results or successes, as I like to look at them as. Project vision, I came to the lottery in the fall of 2007 specifically with the goal of ultimately building the building we're in. While the focus was on the new headquarters, the charge was to look at the entire campus, and the planning documents that we developed certainly do that. I was charged to utilize the flexibility that the lottery has. Lottery, as you know, is a unique organization, and we do have some flexibility in the way of contracting that doesn't exist in other state agencies, particularly as it related to the building project. Next was to create a positive working environment. I think most of you missed the old headquarters building. Lucky you. It certainly was not conducive to a very positive working environment for the staff, and the new building, one of the charges was to improve that. Next, make it green. Certainly always a very positive thing to be environmentally sound and do indeed use the best practices there. Have an inviting public space, again referencing the old building. There was a very small lobby that had about enough room to sign in at the security desk before you went into the man trap to come into the building. Certainly we wanted this building to be more inviting and to have a lobby that was friendly to visitors and sort of told the history of the lottery wherever possible. And then finally, what is always wanted, get it done fast and efficiently. Skip the slide, sorry. First, talking about the project delivery method used. Why IPD, integrated project delivery? The flexibility, like I said, available to the lottery provided some delivery methods that aren't available typically to public agencies, and we certainly wanted to take advantage of those if they would provide a better return for the lottery. Personally, I had looked at the design-build process. It was a very attractive process that typically isn't used in public works projects, but we were able to use something like that. With the help of capital program management, one of our consultants, we were ultimately led to the integrated project delivery method, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The collaboration that's used in lean construction, and ultimately which is the integrated project delivery, method brings together the owner, the designer, the contractors, the suppliers, everybody. What that meant for the team was a lot of meetings. Every contractor commented on how many meetings we had in the beginning and during the process. Luckily, at the end, they said those were all very well served. We had weekly IPD team meetings, which at times included up to 40 subcontractors, suppliers, things like that, working on the design, working on where we were at in the next week. Was everyone's deliverables going to be done on time? Also doing a 6-week look ahead. What are all the major milestones coming up in the 6th week? Is everybody on time? During design, the focus was more about the design itself. Certainly once we were in construction, it was more to do with the on-the-ground items. We also had monthly core team meetings. Core team was the principals of the lottery, the contractor, and the architect. And then we also had an array of special design meetings where they were getting into the details of the plumbing and electrical and HVAC and things like that. Next item that integrated project delivery utilized, and in this case served us very well in the end, was BIM, or Building Information Modeling, basically building the building on the computer in 3D throughout the process. I referenced the regular meetings that everyone was having, specifically the design detail meetings, where you would have the steel supplier, the structural designer, the curtain wall supplier, all in the same meeting, watching how things would go together in live detail, but with electrons, not with steel and glass and things like that. The result of BIM is very little unknowns when you get to construction, very exact fits and things like that, which avoids change orders and things like that ultimately, and makes the project certainly go smoother. Finally, IPD contingency as an incentive for the contractor and the designer to work together. Since they were together through the design process, we developed a integrated project delivery team contingency, which would be used for those things that were missed during design or construction somehow through a gap that we had in the design or construction process. We estimated up front what would be a reasonable amount to put there, and did so. It helped the project along, and it was the incentive for them. Overall, the entire team agreed that the integrated project delivery method was key to the success of the project. Excuse me. Integrated project delivery is, like I said, collaborative, and it really relies on a good team. We had a good team, and I'd like to go through each of them if I could. A couple of them are here. First, capital program management. The first consultant we brought on board helped the lottery with project management, helped the lottery with figuring out what the delivery method was going to be, and then helped manage us throughout the process. Wally Brow, the president, is here. He was involved in all that, facilitating our IPD meetings and others, and did a great job. Next would be the architect, LPAS, Curtis O. Yang, sitting next to Wally back there. LPAS was key to me because they took the vision that we received at the beginning, worked with us very closely, and translated that into what you see. I feel they did an excellent job at hitting the public space, the work environment, the greenness of the building, all those things. They just did a great job at it. They were also key in all the meetings that were being held, coordinating all the designers and things like that. Not here, auto construction. Again, they were here during the design process. Certainly worked closely with the architect to ensure that everything was covered, brought their subcontractors on board early when we needed them so we could coordinate those details and make sure we didn't have changes in the field when we were in construction. Auto construction certainly always had the will-do attitude, and in fact, for Rusty Phillips, that was, when I think of him, I picture him saying that, because whenever I asked for something, that was a response. Esgill was a company that provided plan review. Again, the lottery's different. We don't fall under regular city laws, don't get regular permits through the city. we're responsible to take care of that ourselves. Fiscal provides that service for other organizations like CSUs and UCs, and again, did a great job at working with the team to incrementally do plan reviews that you couldn't typically get through a city process or something else. Helped us, expedite the process very well, let the design team keep moving, knowing what the reviews were. Broad spec, they provided inspector of record and building official. Again, worked closely here every day. Leon McNeil, our inspector, on site, working with the team, attending the team meetings, making sure everyone was clear on, here's what I'm going to look for, here's the rules, and here's how you get there. Scott Patterson, their principal, helped us coordinate with State Fire Marshal. And then finally CEL, and they were our special inspector in testing, coordinated with Broad Spec to get all their work done. Important things, project results. Originally we anticipated occupying the building around October 2011. That was in the original RFP. We ended up moving in July 11th, 2011, 3 months roughly ahead of schedule. That schedule was significantly assisted by the IPD process, the lack of conflicts that occurred during construction because of the coordination that occurred during design. The whole project, and I totaled the 6 contracts that we had. You see there, $2.75 million under budget, and then of that total, only 1% were used for change orders that related to design conflicts between design and construction. And ultimately, the building is leadership LEED Gold. Little plaque out in the lobby by the guard desk. Basically, get it done fast, get it done efficiently, and certainly have it be green.
Can I ask a question? And the 1% cost for change orders, what's common for industry standards?
I'll look to Chairman Tagami because he was the one that kind of smirked when I said that.
Over budget, 5 to 7%. That's good. Yeah, I think, thank you for the, Sheriff, thank you for the question. The fact that you have members of your team here speaks volumes for the fact that you're still talking to each other, that you want to see each other after the process that you've been through.
They noted the same thing, actually.
They had to wonder, why are you inviting us to this meeting, right? So did the warranty period start with beneficial occupancy, or is it after? But no, in all seriousness, you should be commended, one, for the effort, the delivery method, and the finished product. The old saying is that the pioneers get the arrows and the settlers get the land. So previous commissioners and administrators took a lot of heat for the project, and we are glad that you did, because we're here to enjoy it, and I think it'll serve the lottery for years to come. Clearly, the ability to meet the lottery's operational need in a professional and environmentally responsible manner, but ultimately I think there's going to be a triple bottom line, and that I think there's going to be some operational efficiencies that'll serve the lottery for years to come. And it's a kind of investment in infrastructure that's always difficult to make and undertake. So there's a Trail of Tears, lots of late nights with maybe a little whiskey in a styrofoam cup. But I thank you, and thank you for the team members that have come and presenting not only the closeout report, but really sharing it with your colleagues. I would say this one thing, though, in all seriousness. This is the type of thing, then the question is, with public buildings, is that the maintenance, the first thing that always goes is maintenance. And then the difficulty is then not getting the full life out of a building like this. So I'm sure you have a very comprehensive maintenance program. We've discussed it in the past. As we go forward with strategic planning, it's important to note that nice buildings like this will stay nice if they're properly cared for.
Thank you. I did want to touch on something you mentioned there. That is sort of the annual cost to the lottery of the building compared to other things that the state's paying for right now in town. We ran all our 11-12 costs, everything for the building, all in, depreciation, utilities, all the facility, staff time, custodians, everything. In 11-12, we spent $1.71 a square foot to own and operate this building, which you're probably familiar is pretty good rate these days when most other leases are up around $250.
Was that budget number, by the way, inclusive of FF&E? It included the furniture systems,
Everything.
everything? That's great. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. And thank you for joining us today and coming. We like visitors. We rarely get visitors. Jim?
Set up here. Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm going to give you an overview, including the highlights for the fiscal 2013-14 business plan. First, starting off with goals. Our overall goal for the upcoming fiscal year is to deliver record profits to public education. Our plan will be to surpass last year's all-time high of $1.32 billion. Next year, it will represent the 14th consecutive year that the lottery has provided more than $1 billion to public schools throughout the state. As you can see, through the historical look at contributions to education over time, we have dramatically grown our proceeds to education most recently. You can see the all-time high there in the last year is at $1.32 billion, and as I said, for 13-14, our goal is to surpass that mark. Now, from the strategic directions that Bob outlined to you earlier this morning, the annual business plan for 13-14 still has the same 4 themes and the same 10 goals. What I'll do is I'll be discussing the actual initiatives or the highlights from the tactics that are proposed to be included in the business plan. Starting off in the area of products, in continuing our improvements to our scratchers category, you can see by this graph here that our $5 and $10 games, and they're the bars in red and black, have now become our most popular price points and really have driven the sales growth of scratchers, have come from these higher price point games. And to meet the player demand, we will be increasing the variety and type of these games in that price point, and also increasing the number of facings that retailers will sell of these price points. As Bob mentioned, we plan to launch a $20 game. To give you some background, this really does follow best industry practices. Currently, there are just 4 lottery jurisdictions in the U.S. that do not offer a $20 game, and we happen to be one of them. The other states, as you can see, are smaller states and all. Now, we analyzed from large, very similar states as California, we analyzed their sales when a $20 product was launched into the category. And we saw that after about a 6-month period, total category sales for all instant tickets increased on average about 12%. We estimate that the incremental sales for California, even for a partial year next year, would be about $175 million in net incremental sales for scratchers. Now, I also want to point out that this product during the current fiscal year has gone through extensive consumer research to test the potential appeal and what type of sales level we would experience here. The consumer research also showed a very similar lift in category sales as we've seen in the industry, and we also tested a variety of concepts to determine which concept would yield the greatest sales. Now, in terms of our draw game portfolio, in light of the recent changes to Powerball, both by having us join the game, but also you have to remember that Powerball modified its game in early 2012 to a $2 price point. And that had an impact on Mega Millions. Florida will begin selling the Mega Millions product in May. And as such, it is kind of due that Mega Millions is in need for some refinement. And we do anticipate that during the upcoming fiscal year, there will be some game changes that will be needed that California will have to adopt, because we've been working with the consortium of the other states.
Jim, remind us how many states are in Mega Millions?
It's all 43 of them.
43.
Yeah, once Florida joins, every state that's a lottery will be part of the Mega Millions game. Similarly, Super Lotto Plus has had sales declines going back as far as 2005. And as such, we need to address those. Now, even though sales of this product has declined, we want to point out that Super Lotto Plus is still the 4th strongest in-state lotto game on a per capita basis. So it's not something that we just want to, you know, either get rid of or throw away. We want to use the equity in the Super Lotto Plus product, but improve it to reverse the decline in sales. There's definitely shows evidence that we can actually grow sales in Super Lotto Plus. The player base and attitudes for the game are still strong. But what we have to do is understand players' perception about the game, why they don't play as often in the game. We have to test enhancements and then possibly implement these changes probably sometime towards the end of next fiscal year. Now, to continue to grow sales in the more profitable category of draw games, you know, we have to have a concerted effort kind of in research and development so that there is a pipeline of potential new games or game modifications that the lottery can consider. So we will be conducting a number of projects to better understand what our consumers are seeking when they play draw games, and then design and develop new game ideas, which will be subsequently tested. And that'll be kind of the R&D effort, so we will have like a lineup of potential games for future years. In the area of players, to meet the long-term goal of growing the player base in California for the lottery, there are several programs that have to be addressed. Well, there are currently about 13 million lottery players in California out of the adults in California, because approximately nearly half of all adults play the lottery at any time during the given year. To grow that number, we first want to ensure that we retain those existing players, and then we begin to re-attract Californians who used to play the lottery but haven't done so recently. I'm going to give you one example of that, and that's in the area of player loyalty. Our current replay program will have some enhancements added in the first quarter of next fiscal year. This will improve the experience of our current users, allow us to handle greater volumes of activity, as well as extend this second chance program to our Super Lotto Plus game. This will be one of the additions to Super Lotto Plus to help reverse the sales decline, but we are looking at more than just adding second chance to Super Lotto Plus to enhance the game.
Jim, we had chatted in the past about the second chance programs and cross-marketing with other manufacturers or retailers and other promotionals. Where does that stand right now? Because I understand what you've presented to us in the past, but is that the lottery literally aggressively communicating with airlines and hotels and other types of opportunities for, you know, winning those types of what I'll call non-monetary prizes?
I think what, I don't know if we've had all the discussions, but we first had to understand what the system would be capable to do, because you don't want to go and have discussions with companies and not be able to kind of fulfill what you've promised. So now that the requirements are all set and that system is being built, we really do have an understanding so that to allow marketing to actually go out and have those negotiations.
Right.
So that's just in the process now.
Okay. So, I mean, you look at, I think one of the most prolific monetary units in the world is actually frequent flyer miles
yeah.
on airlines. They said if everyone cashed them in, it could affect the world economy. But ultimately, you look at that and say, you know, is that a book of choices? Is it points that people earn? And then how do you then draw in those relationships and the like? And then how does that drive more traffic and more people wanting to come through the lottery because they see the opportunity to take advantage of that?
Right, and we're also looking at from the flip side as to what, I guess, tie-in partners would be most advantageous from our vantage point, and is what would our players really get motivated to, and that's what we were looking at and trying to understand from our players, what would motivate them, and those would be like the first companies that sales and marketing would try and tie in with.
Okay.
as a natural extension from replay is a player rewards program. And that's because, much like other companies that you described, their loyalty programs, players would accumulate points and be able to use those points of something for some value. And it really adds additional value to our products and encourages continuity of play. The player rewards program is currently in the procurement process. That's why I don't have a lot of details, because we don't know which vendor and what services will be available. But that's the ultimate goal, is to begin development of the player rewards program, which really enhances on what we've been doing with replay. Okay, to be able to increase the number of players, we really have to address some perceptions that some Californians hold that really act as a barrier to play. Right now, we find that about 1/3 of Californians hold, not positive nor negative. They're kind of in between. They have the whole neutral attitudes or opinions about the lottery. So ultimately, an individual's perception about any company, right, or any brand, really influences whether they participate with that brand or not. So we need to move some of these people that are in the neutral position into being positive about the lottery, and that will grow our playership. And that's what a lot of efforts will be happening in this first year of the 3-year plan, is we've got to reduce those barriers, develop more positive image with these Californians who just hold a neutral attitude towards us. Most critical in that area is communicating how lottery sales benefit the public. Many people don't even know that the lottery profits go to education, let alone what those profits do. So really communicating that, not just where the money goes, but in a tangible way. So as such, a whole message strategy of how do we communicate in a tangible way how the public benefits from lottery profits is being worked on right now. Other areas that need to be addressed is that people often say that they don't know anyone or hear about people who've won. So, and this is a particular reference to like at your local retailer or in your local community. So right now, the development of winner awareness programs that really efficiently and effectively deliver that message, but not just on a statewide basis. People want to know who's won at the store that they shop at or in their local city. And that's what's being worked on at this point, and that'll be, once the process has been developed, we'll be able to know exactly when that'll be deployed. All right. Advertising support. Obviously, advertising efforts are critical in increasing our player base. To retain our existing players, we'll continue to support our Scratchers product and our big jackpots through Mega Millions and Powerball. And it's done through our most efficient media vehicles. We do have a media analytics model. Essentially, it's an econometrics model that allows us to understand which media vehicles deliver the best return on investment for the advertising dollar. And we use that model to fine-tune the media plan to use the media vehicles that deliver the most productive, give the most productive results, excuse me. For next year, because Powerball is recently introduced, we need to do additional advertising support against the brand. We want to make sure that it's a strong and unique image that Californians have of Powerball to maintain the current strong sales of that game. In addition, as Bob mentioned, we'll be increasing media dollars to digital advertising, like website advertising, mobile phone advertising, and that's based on econometric model results. We have found that those deliver really good return on investments. So the advertising agencies will be increasing their buys in that area. And as discussed before, really trying to develop that overarching message for the lottery, as Richard has talked about, that every ticket has value. There's the fun of playing the games, the chance of winning, a second chance at winning through programs like Replay and Rewards, and how the purchase of a lottery ticket has a positive impact on the local community, both in terms of the public schools and the local businesses that it ultimately supports. And somehow getting that type of message into a marketing communication is going to be worked on during the year as well. With more products, more promotions, a greater variety of games, and a goal of higher lottery sales, there is a corresponding need to increase our efforts on promoting responsible gaming. This includes training both lottery retailers, but also all staff here at the lottery. Importantly, really, additional programs internally will be developed so that responsible gaming is really part of our everyday operations, that it is one of the considerations that we have when we are making business decisions. And as Bob mentioned, we will be then seeking World Lottery Association Level 4 certification and will become the only state in the nation to achieve this high of a level. In terms of retailers, for the upcoming fiscal year, while the overall goal is 4,000 or so additional retailers, for next year it looks like we will be having a goal of about 1,200 retailers that will be selling our traditional products, and about 450 social venue retailers that are specifically aimed at selling hotspot. So it's not just the numbers, it's really the types of retail locations. So in addition to the traditional types of locations that we sell at, we need social venues for hotspot. We need to possibly change the business model. We have had a pilot with CVS that's been very successful, and trying to expand that model because some other major corporations, major chains might not want to sell tickets in the same way that a local liquor store or grocery store does. So we have to look at different business models to be able to attract different types of retailers. Or we might need to find new ways of selling tickets in traditional retailers through the use of technology. And there are some programs that the lottery is looking at there that some other states in the U.S. are currently testing. As we grow the network, we really need to make sure that we can efficiently handle our current locations. So we have a number of programs designed to optimize the support provided to our retailer network. Bob talked a lot about the effective supply chain. We need to be able to efficiently get ticket inventory to our retailers. The complete rollout of a new ticket return process will be completed early in next fiscal year, and there's other enhancements planned throughout the year to essentially try and fine-tune that supply chain of getting it from when we receive tickets from our ticket vendors, all the way to a game has ended and we are getting rid of that game and picking up the tickets from retailers. That whole supply chain really has to become as efficient as possible. We don't want to waste particularly DSR staff time in that supply chain. Retailer risk management. This program will monitor and manage the financial risk over the entire life cycle of a retailer. If you think about it on average, the average retailer handles about $4,000 a week in cash transactions on behalf of the lottery. If you multiply that by 20,000 retailers, that's a lot of cash exchanging hands, and as such we are open to potential and vulnerable to various financial risks. So this program will be looking at it through who we recruit and how we service the retailers ongoing that to but to ensure that we don't subject ourselves to inordinate amounts of financial risk. This would also help minimize the loss of existing locations. Many of our locations either go out of business or we terminate them for financial reasons, and that's why in some cases it's hard to increase the number of lottery retailers, because we are losing a certain number of them even though we are recruiting many new accounts. A number of areas deal with the kind of optimizing the sales call and the frequency of visitation of our retail locations. To do that, we are developing a checklist for each call based on their sales volume. Certain retailers may not be visited as frequently based on their sales volume or their potential to increase sales. To be able to have an effective sales call, and we need to develop a new customer relationship management tool, a CRM tool. And as also part of this effort, there'll be a formation of the route sales unit. I talked about the CVS stores. We've expanded the number of CVS locations that will be operating under the new business model, and that's where the lottery staff actually go in and manage the inventory, not the retailer.
Jim, can you
Yes.
expand on your custom relationship management tool? You're saying you're using software, or,
More than just, it's hardware and software.
okay?
Yes.
So give us more.
Okay,
It's jargon, so just, break it down for us.
right. So right now, the system that's currently a DSR takes to a retailer was developed probably in the 1990s.
Okay.
It doesn't have all the sales information that our current business intelligence, business analytics system can offer.
Right, so you're saying it's a handheld, it's a
I
laptop?
believe it's going to be a tablet.
It's a tablet. So what was being used?
Currently, it's a laptop.
Okay.
And then I'll be down to a tablet, so you can take it into the location.
Okay.
But right now, even if they take their laptop into the location, it doesn't have all of the elements of sales information for that account. It doesn't have the most recent checklist of what needs to be occurring in that location, the inventory issues that have occurred at that location, and that's what the CRM tool will be designed to do. Comparative sales to other similar types of retailers in that same geographic area.
For the explanation. Thank you.
As part of that also in this area is the formation of the route sales unit. So that's because right now they are currently managed and supervised under the same district offices, and yet their functions are very different because they actually manage the inventory for that retail location and do the merchandising for a lower fee to the retailer. And that's why that is going to be separated out in terms of organizational structure. And then in terms of optimizing support, we have to look how to service these lower volume accounts. A DSR will not be visiting them at the same visitation schedule. So some monthly new information, the product information, that'll be sent with the ticket deliveries to those retailers rather than being delivered by our DSRs. We'll be expanding the Scratchers Inventory Management Center, so that way a retailer would have an individual to perhaps call to at least if they need some service. And also, we need to try and drive retailers to use a website or online technology. We can provide through a secure account the ability for a retailer to see videos, training videos, to see their particular sales numbers in comparison to other retailers, but do that not through a sales call, but by them going onto the website. So we would really have to develop new functionality and greatly enhance our current retailer website to do that. And so that will be, the first year effort is really just to determine what is that new functionality to put into the retailer website. And then in subsequent years will be the actual implementation of this more enhanced website. Another area to optimize support is developing menu of retailer promotions. Rather than having statewide promotions running at a specific time, is a DSR can determine that a retailer needs a specific promotion at a specific time. Example of merchandising effort that we're also going to be doing is increasing the visibility of our Scratcher games. Right now, with in-counters, many retailers sell it this way. The arrow is pointing where the tickets reside, and really you can't tell that there are Scratchers being sold until you literally are at the counter. So while you're in line, you can't see the Scratcher tickets. We're going to be looking at ways to incent retailers to place the tickets on the counter so that they're visible for all the patrons to see while they're shopping in the store. And that's in the works for this coming fiscal year. In terms for infrastructure, enterprise resource planning and ERP system, right now we have a lot of manual processes through that effort, so it means that we don't have timely management information to help us plan our resources, both from a monetary as well as a staff resource aspect. What will happen is that currently the Epicor system was undergoing an upgrade, and that'll be completed early in next fiscal year. After some time to kind of absorb that new functionality, we will begin to start the ERP feasibility study this coming fiscal year. And in the interim, there'll be there'll be some steps used to automate functions, maybe in the HR area, as well as travel expense claims. We'll be completing the enhancements to the contact center to allow greater access for the public to reach us. And we're developing a plan to replace legacy systems in the IT area that are using big mainframe computers that have not been updated for many, many years. So we need to replace those systems.
Can you, when you say legacy systems, that's the name, or
No,
they've been here so long?
It's like the background investigation system.
Okay.
It's been around since the 90s and is using on mainframe computer systems, as well as the annuity investment system.
Right.
And those two systems are using very outdated technology to support. We're also assessing how we can comply with the World Lottery Association's security control standards, with the ultimate goal of being the first in the U.S. to gain certification. As Bob talked about, really trying to instill collaboration as part of the lottery culture through cross-training of staff, through developing enterprise project portfolio management software, really trying to break down the silos. The way the lottery has grown up, it's really been organizationally within its own divisional silos, and now to kind of think more cross-functionally throughout the lottery so that people understand the dependencies that other divisions' work has on their own projects. Also, an enterprise-wide risk management program will be developed, and an IT strategic plan, followed by a facilities master plan. All of those are kind of developing kind of long-term visions and a shared vision throughout the lottery. Just, you know, these were just kind of some brief highlights to present at this point. The actual business plan will be on the agenda at the May Commission meeting, along with the 2013-2016 strategic directions for further discussion and for a vote of the Commission. Also at the May meeting, an overview of the fiscal year 2013-14 budget will be presented. And then the budget will be actually on the agenda for further discussion and a vote at the June Commission meeting.
Jim, thank you. Could you go back to that last slide, please?
Sure.
And just for commissioners, as we go later in the meeting and discuss kind of our schedule and planning, we'll be entertaining, and I'm sure we'll be open for discussion about if we want to have some time set in the agenda for the May meeting for any more detailed or specific requests or discussion regarding some of the strategic initiatives before we then roll into the budget session, so we can make sure that we have alignment and agreement basically on the overall direction. So thanks, Jim. With that, I think we roll into our consent items. Someone want to describe the items before we take them?
I'll go ahead, Commissioner. There's 2 items on the consent calendar. Adoption of a Scratchers core game profile templates, basic templates we use regarding our games. This is for the $20 game. We need these templates adopted. And also, we're amending our UPS contract for basically to include the changes we've made based upon our supply chain project to allow us to use the UPS contract to send back tickets which were formerly hand-carried by our DSRs.
Any questions? Call the roll, please. Yeah, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, action items. Letitia? Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm here to discuss the amendment to extend the term of the Asian Advertising Services contract. So the issue before us is, should the California Lottery Commission approve a 24-month extension with Time Advertising to continue to provide Asian advertising services for the California Lottery? Staff recommends the Commission approve a 24-month extension option and increase the time contract expenditure authority by $4.6 million, bringing the total contract expenditure authority to $13.1 million. Some background. As a result of a formal solicitation in 2009, the Commission awarded Time a 3-year contract with 4 one-year extension options and a contract expenditure authority of $6 million. Of the finalists in the 2009 procurement, Time was the only bidder to receive a significantly exceeds overall rating and provided the most competitive pricing and lowest markup rates. In April 2012, the Commission approved a 14-month extension and increased the contract expenditure authority by $2.5 million. Time Advertising provides Asian advertising services and materials in Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean, as well as placement of the media. Extending this contract will allow lottery staff time to develop and coordinate the procurement process for multiple RFPs for other expiring marketing contracts. Also, with this extension, Time has agreed to lower the markup on production billings from 8% to 7.5%. With your approval of the 24-month extension option, the new contract expiration date for Time will be November 7th, 2015, with a total contract expenditure authority of $13.1 million. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
The only question I have, and my colleagues might have questions, do we have any cancellation for convenience?
We do.
Okay, thank you. With that, is any comments or questions, or I'll entertain a motion?
Motion to approve the extension.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Watson? Good morning.
Commissioners. Director O'Neill. This is for approval, the Commission's approval of a sales training contract. Should the California State Lottery Commission approve the award of a contract for a sales training program to HKC Incorporated. Staff recommends that the Commission approve the award of a 2-year contract to HKC Incorporated for a sales training program. The total expenditure authority for the contract is $265,700. The lottery does not have a structured professional sales training program. The goal is to train all staff with this contract and then have the ability to train existing new hires when they come on board with the lottery. The training that's provided for staff currently is done by different district offices, and the concern is that this training is not consistent across the state. What we did was, although we don't have to go through a competitive bidding process, we invited 5 vendors to give us their proposals, and out of those proposals, we selected 3 to come on site and discuss their training programs. We ultimately decided on HKC. Although they have the highest costs for their services, they were the only vendor willing to license their training materials to the lottery so that we can continue that training in the future. HKC also has extensive lottery industry experience. So for this reason, we're recommending that HKC be approved to conduct this training. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Lisa, what's your anticipation of what's going to happen after 2 years when this contract expires?
With the goal of having the lottery use these licensed training materials, we would carry on that training ourselves. So the plan is to train our own in-house trainers so that as new staff come on board, we can continue with a consistent program.
Who would be an in-house trainer? Is that a position that already, are we going to utilize existing resources
Yes, existing resources.
at each district office?
Each district office. What we can do is we're going to select trainers that are available to travel to the district offices and provide this training.
Oh, wait, you're going to have a traveling staff, a group of traveling trainers?
Yeah, what it would be is, since we have 9 district offices, the plan would be to identify trainers that can pretty much provide the training within a group of geographical location.
Right.
We also have an in-house trainer in human resources that's been assigned to be a facilitator in the future as well.
And who would you anticipate being the trainers in the future?
These
What-
would
what
be
positions?
staff that currently do this type of work because they have the knowledge and background in sales. So we want to build on that knowledge and have them also carry on this program. So it would be staff in-house that already have the background and experience in sales.
And in the next 2 years, HKC is going to train who? Everyone, or just trainers, or new hires, or how, what's the?
First, they would train all of the staff, all of the sales staff,
existing.
over 200 staff. And then within that 2 years, they would also train those selected trainers so that the ongoing training will continue as we hire new staff.
Okay.
Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks.
Nicole?
Actually,
Oh, Amy. Oh, I'm sorry. One more. Jumping ahead. So eager to get to it. Amy? I have no more questions.
good morning, Chairman and Commissioners.
Good morning.
The issue being presented is should the California Lottery Commission approve a contract extension with a solution set to continue to provide hosting and maintenance service for the public website. Staff recommends the Commission to approve such contract amendment, which is to utilize a current option being offered as the existing contract, utilize one of the 4 one-year extension options. This extension would add a 2.5 million cost to the existing 8 million for a contract that existed since 2010. With this addition, several improvement has been made, such as the lowered hourly rate that has been negotiated from the current rate, and it's an average of 15 to 20% reduction on the hourly rate, as well as changing the paying option from a time and material to a deliverable based, which offers lottery a much better option in managing the scope and an expenditure on a monthly basis. So with those improvements, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, questions? Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Nicole?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Today, the Commission is being asked to approve the amended lottery regulations, and staff recommends that the Commission adopt the amended regulations. Commissioners, as you recall, there we go. The Lottery Commission requested that staff undertake a comprehensive review and revision of our regulations to make sure that our regulations are consistent with current law and actual practice. Just want to briefly run the Commission through our process. As you know, we conducted an extensive internal review and discussion about the regulations across lottery divisions. In addition, we posted the draft regulations to our public website. We circulated an e-newsletter notification to approximately 3,000 lottery stakeholders, informing them of our lottery regulation update, and also provided them with information about where they could submit feedback to. I provided the Commission members with updates at each of our Commission meetings in the fall and earlier in 2013. As I just mentioned, we had a dedicated email address where members of the public and stakeholders could submit their feedback. That was regulations@calottery.com. And that email address was monitored daily, and feedback was taken into consideration and shared with the Commission and members of the public at meetings as well.
Finally, we convened meetings of our Retailer Advisory Board, where the director and our deputy director of external affairs and other lottery staff members communicated with representatives of our retail network to let them know about proposed changes to the lottery regulations that impacted them. I'd also like to briefly run through key revisions to the draft, which, as you know, has been included in your commission materials and is available for members of the public attending the meeting today. In terms of definitions contained in our draft regulations, we eliminated unnecessary definitions and updated others. And we recognize that there were certain definitions that were never included in our regulations, such as winner, and we decided to define those terms, which will be very helpful to lottery staff in implementation going forward. We reorganized and clarified regulations. We renumbered our regulations for ease of use and citation. We eliminated redundancies, and we refined and clarified language. We included some new provisions in our regulations. With respect to the third-party submission of ideas, we included in the regulations for approval today a provision to address our current protocol regarding the submission of ideas, which is currently set forth on our public website. We provided guidelines regarding lottery sponsorships to be sure that the cost of the sponsorship is commensurate with the value received by the lottery. In terms of our strategic marketing partnerships, in recognizing that these types of partnerships are not amenable to our general competitive bidding strategies, we added language to allow for direct negotiation where appropriate. And with respect to subscription sales, we addressed the lottery's existing authority for subscription sales of lottery products. We also made some modifications to our game-specific regulations. We modified provisions where appropriate to reflect the flexibility afforded by AB 142. We also updated and reorganized our game descriptions for consistency, and we included our Second Chance program, which, as we all know, has become a very popular lottery game feature. We updated our validation and authentication procedures in the regulations to reflect actual practice and provide greater clarity in the claiming process. Among other things, we added clarifying language addressing the prohibition on the assignment of prizes, regardless of an intent or circumstance, except as expressly provided by statute. We noted that our players are responsible for abandoned, lost, stolen, or destroyed tickets. We included clear legal presumptions around ticket ownership, and we updated our ticket list's claim approval authority and the associated provisions to make sure we are minimizing risk to the lottery. With respect to our retailer regulations, we have added provisions relating to the reimbursement of retailers for the loss of lottery tickets and other lottery equipment or products. We have also clarified our policy relating to prize caching requirements. We have also updated our procurement regulations to tighten up our exceptions to our competitive bidding exceptions. We've also clarified our prime contractors' requirements when they are using subcontractors. We've updated our disabled veterans regulations to reflect recent statutory changes. And we've revised criteria for the submission of contracts and contract amendments to the Commission. In addition, we have also added a new section of our regulations, which is the Code of Conduct applicable to Commission members and members of our senior management team. With respect to the effective date of these regulations, Commissioners, should the Commission approve the regulations as proposed, they will take effect immediately upon approval with one exception. The annuity period for Super Lotto Plus will remain at 26 years until the change to the 30-year annuity period is ready for full implementation, and the Director will provide a notification to the Commission Chair when that occurs. The Super Lotto Plus regulations are contained in Section 3.9 of the amended regulations. And Commissioners, before I conclude and open it up for questions, I would like to thank, first of all, the Commission for your support around this effort, my Director, Chief Deputy, and other lottery colleagues for their gracious cooperation and patience during this process, my lottery legal team, Kimberly West, Daniel Pott, Sherry Vargas, Robindeep Basara, for all of the dedicated work that they put in. And a very, very special thanks to the colleague that is to my right, Kathy Van Aken, who did a tremendous amount of work on this project and really has helped to make this document one that I think will be incredibly useful for the lottery going forward. So with that, I would like to open it up for any questions you have.
Commissioners?
I have no questions. I'd just like to echo what you just carried out, thanking everyone and commending everyone for the great work they did. I know you were deeply involved in it, as well as Bob and Phil was real helpful with this, everyone. So I'd like to thank you for that. This was a long, tedious project, but and not in a bad way. I mean, it's always going to be, but you know, when you change the regulations, it's not a daily thing. It's not a regular occurrence. You know, it's like changing the Constitution or making an amendment. It's a big deal. So you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I share those sentiments. I want to thank you both for your patience through this process and your flexibility and understanding. And I think ultimately it's a good product that we can all be proud of. And, you know, we don't have to do this until again next year, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that, we'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the regulations.
Second.
And you can call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. You're here.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay. Commissioner general discussion. Commissioners, do you have anything you want to address or add for the upcoming May and or June meetings? I just wanted to, while you're considering, I wanted to again commend everyone for the work on Powerball. I was unable, due to some other obligations, to attend either San Francisco or LA, but I looked longingly at the photos from LA. It looks like you were all having a wonderful time, and the media was fantastic, and I think it was just a really good job, superior job by everyone, and the extra effort, I think, was reflected in the bottom line. So thanks again for that, and Bob, your leadership on that. In our May meeting, we'll be requesting from the commissioners, and we'll get a message to our colleague who's not here today, that we'll ask the secretary to take nominations for officers at the May meeting. And that can be done electronically or by telephone to the secretary. And then we would like to calendar the vote in June, so it'd be concurrent with our budget when we review budget. So with that, we do have a May 23rd and June 27th meeting scheduled, right? Good. Okay. And then are there any, we have no speakers today? Any items, commissioners, that you want to bring to ask us to look at? Okay, with that, we'll adjourn at the hour of 11:28. Thank you.